Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here for our virtual Education Abroad Fair Week. It's so exciting that we have our partner Charlotte here with us from the University of Waikato in New Zealand. She's going to give a little presentation about kind of an overview of the beautiful campus and the academics and lots of things. She's going to provide us with lots of information. I just wanted to make a few quick announcements before we get started. So just so you know, all of the attendees are on mute, so your microphone is not working. So if you do have a question, please feel free to use the question feature and type your questions in there. And then at the end of Charlotte's presentation, I will go ahead and read those questions, and Charlotte or I can help to answer those questions that you do have about the University of Waikato. In addition, after you hear this presentation and after you hopefully attend some of our other live webinars from our partners, please do go ahead and schedule an Education Abroad advising appointment with me so we can talk more specifically about your options and the programs that you're interested in, and I can answer any questions and more in depth in that advising appointment as well. Please keep in mind also that if you're thinking about study abroad for fall 2021, so this will be next fall, a year from now, those applications for North Central will be due on November 10th. So just so that you're aware of that, just to keep that kind of in the pipeline and think about so you can plan for that. So that is all my announcements. So I will let Charlotte have the floor. So thank you for being here with us today, Charlotte.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for having me. No, it's great that I could jump in and you guys can have me chat. So let me just jump onto my screen. Can you see the presentation okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. So just a quick intro. My name is Charlotte, as Rachel said, and I am from New Zealand. I don't attribute myself from being in one place in New Zealand. I've lived all over the place. So I'm just a born and bred Kiwi, and I currently live in Hamilton and work at the University of Waikato, and we hope that hopefully one day you guys can come and see what we have to offer here as well. So kia ora, that's hello in Māori, and we use it a lot. We use Māori as like it's an official language of New Zealand, and so it is woven into everyday aspects all the time. In fact, my 3-year-old knows more language than me when it comes to Māori. So we're located in the North Island. We've got 2 campuses. We've got Hamilton and Tamauranga. Hamilton's our main campus. We have around 11,000 students here. In Tamauranga, there's around 1,000 students. It's a very new campus, although they've been teaching over in Tamauranga for 30 years. They just now have a proper place to call home. And Tamauranga is a beach town, so if you're into surfing, that is the place to go. But if you're wanting to stay in Hamilton, we still have a west coast beach called Raglan, only 40 minutes away, and it's very famous for its left-hand break. If you're a surf person, that means something to you, but I don't. Yeah, it's got black sand and it's pretty cool and dramatic. That's about all I like about it. So in New Zealand overall, we have quite high-ranked universities. There's only 8 in all of our country, and we are ranked the 2nd safest country in the world, and we sort of fluctuate within the top 5. I don't think we've ever dropped out of the top 5 before, depending on which Scandinavian country usually is classed safer. And we are pretty easygoing. If you've ever been to any of the Pacific Islands, you'll see that they're pretty easygoing. We're not quite as easygoing, but we're still pretty sweet here. This is, if you've ever heard of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, this is Hobbiton, and it's about 35 minutes from Hamilton, and it is just a really beautiful place. Even if you're not a fan of the movies and the books, you will still just enjoy yourself here, and they have really cool drinks on tap, alcohol or non-alcoholic, and you get to walk around and see where all the hobbits lived and get to take pictures, and the gardens are amazing. It's amazing what they do there. But this is the first trip that our students do when they come. They usually do it the week after classes, I think. So yeah, very, very popular. This is the Waitomo Caves, and this is about an hour south of Hamilton. There are lots of caves actually. This is one of the main ones. We have to go on a boat to see the glowworms, but actually you don't have to go to the caves to see glowworms. There are glowworms just all around in the hills, and if you go for a walk late at night, like a bush walk, then you'll likely see glowworms, which is pretty cool. Another trip that our students get to go on, usually, depending on the weather, is Tongariro Crossing. So again, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, this is where Mount Doom is. So Mount Doom is actually just a little bit behind that person you see standing there. It's a mountainous environment, and this person managed to get up there on a beautiful day, but I've been up there in really poor weather and it's not fun at all. So you do have to wait for it to be nice, and it can still be really quite chilly. In fact, my sister had sideways sleet and snow in December, which is our summer. So yeah, it can be bad weather at any time, but it's a lot of fun. And of course you have to walk uphill a lot, but then at the end you walk down, so both ways. We're based, so Hamilton itself, where I'm currently based, it's our 4th most populous city in New Zealand, with bursting to the seams of 175,000 people. So New Zealand doesn't have that many people. We just recently broke the barrier of 5 million. And we are just a fun, friendly city. We have a big river, the Waikato River, that runs right through the middle. And it's quite affordable in comparison to other New Zealand cities, particularly Wellington and Auckland, which are really expensive for like accommodation and travel on buses and stuff. We're very mild here. It gets quite tropical in the summer, very muggy and hot, and then, but not too hot, if that makes sense. But it still feels quite sticky, kind of like a tropical island, but not quite as warm. And then in the winter, we have very mild winters. So yeah, only gets down to say -1 degrees Celsius. So what's that, like 30 Fahrenheit or something like that, 28 Fahrenheit. So not that cold at all. And that's only for a few days, basically. So very mild. We are a hub for sport. So fun fact, Hamilton actually has the most Olympians, you know, in terms of population, and in the world, actually. So we have so many really like high performance athletes here for all across different sports, which is really cool. This is the Hamilton Gardens, one of them. So this is the Italian garden. And we actually have, there's about, I want to say 25 or 30 different themed gardens. And you can go and you can just walk around, it's free. It's about, I'd say maybe a 15-minute walk from campus, and or you can just catch the bus there. And then, yeah, you can just wander around and just hang out. It's a really nice spot to go. And fun fact, it used to be a dump. So they've done a lot to make it really cool now. One of my favorite places. I live very close to there, so I go there all the time. Tauronga, our 5th largest city. So this is where our other campus is located, with 135,000 people. As you can see that there, that's the beach in this picture. It's Mount Maunganui in the background. You can walk up the mountain. Takes about 45 minutes, maybe half an hour if you're really fast. And you can go surfing or swimming at the beach. And it's just nice white sand. It's really beautiful there. It gets very busy in the summer. And if you're going to study at Tauronga, you have to make sure you take all your classes there, but it's totally doable. There's lots of opportunities for students to study there. This is the new campus. So it was only finished in 2019. So yeah, really nice space for students to go and study and learn in. So our university in total, we're a comprehensive research-led university. We're quite large. We have undergraduate students, we've got English language, right up until, you know, quite a few PhD students. Our business school is Triple Crown accredited, which means that it's sort of top 1% in the world, and has 3 accreditations, AACSB, EQUIS and AMBER. And we have quite a few subjects ranked in the top 300. And we have a big focus on work integrated learning, which you can totally take advantage of. So if you wanted to come and study for a trimester, you can do an internship part-time or help on a research project. Yeah, there's also a summer program for internships as well. That's our village green and one of the 3 lakes we have. So that's in spring, which is about now actually. I can't recall if the blossoms are out. I think they are, but there's definitely ducklings. So everyone is very invested in the ducklings and making sure that they stay alive. This year she's got 9 ducklings, so we're watching to make sure none of the eels get them, but hopefully, fingers crossed. She's pretty good. Last year she had 12, I think, so there's a lot of ducklings, which is pretty cute. So we're quite a large campus in my view, particularly for New Zealand. It's quite a campusy campus, and we've got lots of green spaces and the 3 lakes, as I mentioned. And out of our sort of 12,000 students, around 2,000 to 2,500 are international students. Many postgraduate international students, a lot of people doing their masters and their PhDs, and usually around 150 to 180 study abroad and exchange students each year. We have quite a diverse population, so our university actually has the highest percentage of Māori domestic students, which is quite nice as well. So we have really big focus on incorporating the Māori culture, and in fact the campus itself, the land that it's on, is actually owned by the local iwi, the local tribe. So these are our main academic departments, and so you can sort of see something potentially there for you, hopefully, and you're allowed to take classes from any of the departments across all of the areas, and most of the classes don't have prerequisites, which is nice, but some of them do, particularly within science and engineering and some of the management classes and law, of course. So our management school, we have quite a few various subjects, so you can sort of see which ones there. Plenty of opportunities. These aren't all of them, and you can get online and just check out the papers. So we always encourage our study abroad students to take an Indigenous class, something that you can't get at home. So you could do Te Reo Māori, the language. The most popular one is Introducing the Māori World, which will have a little bit of language in it and more about understanding where the Māori people come from. The Treaty of Waitangi is how we, as Europeans, came in, and the Māori were already here, and how they came to peace. So that's our whole peace philosophy is based off this Treaty of Waitangi, which is actually a single-page document, which is very controversial in law now, but still it was like a founding piece of work for us. Kapa haka is like a dance that you can learn. So this is the Māori dance, quite a lot of fun. You do singing, which we call waiata. So you sing and you dance at the same time, and women usually use the poi. So the poi is like a small soft ball on the end of a string, and you swing them around and learn how to do things with them. And the guys usually do the haka part, which is sort of, if you've ever seen the All Blacks perform, the rugby team, you will have seen them do like their haka at the start of the game. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go onto Google and just say, All Blacks haka, and then it'll come up with a ton of them. They do it before every international game. It's just a challenge. It's just a challenge to the other team. And then, there's other bits and pieces. There's so many different classes that you can take. School science, so we have quite a robust science program. You can pick from any of these departments, and quite often they have trips and things out into the field as well, so that's quite fun. Lots of really good ones there. This is what I was mentioning earlier, the experiential learning that we have. So you can come and do a study plus intern program where you get, if you want, you can have credit for your internship, or you can just do the internship itself. And students, they enroll usually in 2 or 3 other papers. So papers are courses. We call them papers in New Zealand. I don't know why. So you can enroll in 2 or 3 other courses, and then you would have your internship paper that you take, which goes alongside your part-time internship, which would be based in a local organisation. So if you do this, there is an extra fee on top of it. Usually sits around 1,400 New Zealand dollars, but they organise everything beforehand. So you'll have your placement before you even arrive in the country, and know who you're going to be working for, which is pretty cool. you can do the science capstone research project. So every trimester there's 1 to 3 projects available for students to get involved with. Sometimes you're working with a group of, say, 5 students and a lecturer and a tutor, or sometimes you're working with 40 or 50 students. It really just depends on the project. So you can kind of see some past projects there. You could work with local iwi on managing marine environments and restoration of shellfish. Or you could be monitoring. We have bats in Hamilton. A lot of people don't know that, but we have them, and so you're monitoring them. Or you could go and do some ecological and water quality impacts in Tauranga with the estuary. So yeah, there's lots of different projects you can get involved in, and you can get credit for that. So you would enroll in a 3rd year paper, and then yeah, from there you would experience a lot of. You do a research component, of course, but also a lot of hands-on work, which is pretty cool. So we do have short programs available in summer. Unfortunately, most of them are likely to be delayed until 2022. That's mainly because in next year, because the courses are only 4 weeks, and it's very likely that if anyone is allowed to come in, they'll have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So we're just likely it's going to happen for 2022, but we're holding out hope, hopefully. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think we're probably going to have to just make a call for 2022, but yeah, you can come and do the Enhancing Sporting Performance. So this one here is for student athletes and just students who are interested in sport and physical education. You don't necessarily have to be a student studying exercise or anything like that. It's a 2nd year course, and you come and you do labs, and there's lots of different modules that you learn, and you can also, if you would like to train with a local sports team, depending on your sport. If you're a baseball player, we won't be able to place you in a baseball team because we don't have any, but you could learn how to play cricket or something like that, depending on when you come. So or you can learn a new sport, or just not play a sport at all and just go to the gym, or meet other people other ways. Yeah. With our Enhancing Sporting Performance, if you're a rugby player, you can actually go and do the Chiefs Sporting Performance. And I actually forgot to check, does North Central have a rugby team? If you don't, then this doesn't really apply. But otherwise, if you do, you actually get to train with the Chiefs rugby team, and they are a direct feeder into the All Blacks rugby team. So you actually get to play with All Blacks, which is pretty cool. Another short program we have is the Business Internship. So you come for 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the placement that you're wanting to do, and you'll get credit for it. And it's very similar to our Study Plus Intern for the trimester based program, except it's just condensed and you do a full-time internship where you're placed in a local organisation. So trimester, you can choose to study for 1 or 2 trimesters of study. We call them trimesters. It's basically the same as, it is the same as a semester. We just changed our C trimester. It used to be these small little blocks over our summer, and so we combine them all to make C. And so now we've got 3, but A and B were the main ones that you can that you would attend in. C wouldn't work for you guys. It would be spanning over both fall and spring, which would be pointless. So you want to come in A or B, and most students come in our A trimester, which is your spring, because it usually fits better with their academics. But you can come whenever, honestly, whatever works best for your program. And we have guaranteed on-campus accommodation as long as you apply before the due date. So the due date is usually quite late. So for example, if you're going for A trimester, the due date will be in January. So it's only a month before you're due to arrive. And we can't guarantee you your picked spot, depending on what you're wanting to do and where you want to stay, but you will be on campus, so that's quite good. And you will get around 15 Waikato points per paper that you take. So usually you take 4 papers. You can take 3. You're still you're still a full-time student at that point. If you take 3, you just get less credits. It's so yeah, usually a 3 to 4 credit. I'm not sure. You'll have to talk to Rachel about how the credit is transferred back to North Central. So insurance and COVID-19, that dreaded C word. So actually, if you come and you study here, you are covered for your healthcare if you contract COVID-19 while in New Zealand studying. At this point, it is very, very unlikely that you will get it if you were to be here, because we just don't have it unless you're in quarantine and you've brought it in. But every now and then we have an outbreak, and then we deal with that with a contact tracing system, which just basically means that you contact everyone who's been in that same place as you. So every time you enter into a building or enter into a shop or a restaurant, then you check in with your QR code, and that is a government QR code scanning tracing app. And so they can then immediately send out a notification saying, hey, someone who was COVID positive was in the same place at you at the same time. Just be aware, and then you have to self-isolate, and there's rules and standards that you have to follow. So the university follows all of our Ministry of Health guidelines, and COVID-19 testing is free for everyone in New Zealand, and usually the results come back within 48 hours, although if it's not really busy, then it's usually within 24 hours. You've got hand sanitizer and hand washing facilities everywhere. So yeah, just like the standard common sense stuff everywhere. And then we have a mixture of sort of how we manage learning while in this particular situation. So depending on the levels from the government, which we have 4 levels. So we're currently at level 1, and Auckland's at level 2. Level 2 just basically means that you have to wear, you're encouraged to wear masks when you're out, and you need to have physical distancing. At level 1, it's basically the same, except you're still checking in with the QR code, but no physical distancing is required, and you don't have to. Yeah, we can do it just like normal life, basically. Have events and stuff as well, just as long as you're tracking where you're going. So yeah, lots of interesting things there as usual. Accommodation. So we have fully catered residence halls with 3 different residence halls. We've got College Hall, Bryant Hall, and Studville or Student Village. And they are each sort of slightly different in how they work. So it's just about reading what works for you and then picking that. And then if you wanted to self-catered, each of those halls offer self-catered, but our main self-catered is the Orchard Park Flats, where you live with 3 other people in like a little cottage. And everyone always has their private room, and the meal plan is included, so it's not like something separate. And you have, I guess, less choice about what you eat unless you're doing self-catered, and where you go to the grocery store and you cook in your own kitchen and you have like a lounge and whatnot. So it's a more independent experience. And you can do homestay. Not many students choose to, but if you wanted to go and live with a local family, you totally can. That's not a problem at all. This is Studville Student Village. So yeah, they kind of have these pods of like 6, so your pod become your family. I think that's how it kind of works. And all of the halls are very competitive with each other. So there's lots of inter-hall events and stuff. So our student support's really comprehensive. We have free Auckland Airport pickup as long as you tell us when you're arriving, and then we'll drop you off at your accommodation. We have a week-long orientation that's before classes begin, and that's compulsory. We really need you to be here for that. And anything else that you need, you can see on that list. We have everything on campus. So mental health nurses, we have a doctor available, and that's all just free stuff that you just have access to. Counselling services, and if you need chaplains, we have a multidisciplinary, we have a couple of chaplains available and prayer rooms, so it's all here available on campus. So student life, as I was sort of talking about at the start, we have quite a few student trips that the university organises, but actually there's even more trips you can go on, particularly with our study abroad network, our student club. There are just a bunch of students, both international and domestic, who are really passionate about international students and being overseas and about culture, and they organise loads and loads of trips, trips that we're not allowed to organise. So yeah, lots of really cool, even just like a afternoon, you know, hey, are we going out to Raglan Beach this afternoon? Do you want to jump in the car? It'll be like $5 or something for gas. So yeah. We have a performing arts centre the Gallagher Performing Arts Centre on campus. It's a beautiful space if you're ever into dance or music or theatre. You can go and you can train there and you can practice and you can perform if you like, if that's how it all works out. We have lots of student clubs and sport clubs, and usually we have a farewell ceremony. Well, not usually, we always have a farewell ceremony. And it's kind of nice because you get like a certificate and it's sort of like you've graduated from the University of Waikato, even though you haven't finished your degree yet, but it's just like a nice wrap up. And that picture is from International Day. So it's the Holi Festival from India. So lots of colours were being thrown around, which is pretty cool with the powders and stuff. This is one of the trips that you can go on. So this is a Noho Marae, where you spend an overnight stay in a marae. And a marae is like a local meeting house for the local iwi and / tribes. So you go and you spend the evening there and the day as well. And you learn how to do kapahaka. You learn how you learn waiata, so the singing and the songs. You learn about the history of their tribe. And usually you get to have a hangi, which is food, traditionally cooked food. So they usually dig a big hole in the ground and wrap all of the potato and kumara and meat in aluminium foil, and they put them into the ground and the fire smokes the food, and it's cooked for a really long time. It's a very unique taste. So it's usually pretty cool experience for students to go on. We encourage all our students to do it. There's the marae that we have on campus, but we're actually getting a new marae built called the Pa. So hopefully in like 2 years, 3 years, we'll have that. Be a really nice space. This is Kerosene Creek. Yes, interesting name. Basically in New Zealand, we have a lot of hot springs that are natural. So this is just warm water that these students are sitting in. I've been there several times myself. It's pretty cool. There's lots of different hot springs, particularly around the Rotorua and Taupo area. Usually all free. You just rock up and sit in the hot water. It's pretty sweet. Questions and discussion. So that's me.